Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my new video where we are going to go over my top 5 tips I think every single Camille player needs to know. Now, my goal behind this video is to make you an overall a better Camille player and to give you a better understanding of the champion by the end of the video. If you're new to my channel, my name is Lolfit. I do educational content, do tips videos, guide videos, and I also stream here on YouTube. If you want to hit that bell button, you can ask me any questions live during that. So I also put timestamps at the top of my page at every single point in my video. If you want to skip this intro, if you want to skip a certain tip because you already have a really good understanding of it, I encourage you to do so because I heavily value you guys' time. If you want to contact me directly, you can go to the pinned comments down below, and there's going to be a link to my Discord if you want to ask me questions there, or hit the bell button and subscribe, and you will be notified when I go live on here with my stream. And finally, I really like it when people add their own tips down below in the comments, because it creates kind of like a forum where you're able to help out a lot of other players that might find themselves watching this video, and I am a bit limited with this format. So with that all out of the way, let's get into the first tip. Alright, and jumping into tip number 1, I want to go over something that is going to help you land a bit more of your ease when you are looking to play Camille, and that is to mix up the variety of how you are using your E. In equivalent to if you've ever played the game of baseball and you start understanding that there's a reason why there's a pitch called a changeup in which you're not throwing your absolute fastest at the enemy, you are just kind of changing the speed of how you are throwing the ball. And how you can look to use this kind of pattern in playing Camille is if you are starting to become extremely predictable and you're starting to use your E in the exact same way every single time, where you're instantly flowing off of it, you are going to hit less E's. So look to mix it up a bit, maybe hold on to the ledge a little bit, make them dodge around a little bit, and this will buy a little bit amount of time, and it will give you an idea of how they are looking to dodge out on your E, because they are going to want to go an unexpected way, and a lot of times they are going to look to dodge away from their escape path, which can also be a great way to look to buy a bit of time for your jungler to come if he is pretty close by and is looking to gank. So again, it all revolves around just mixing up extremely quick E dashes in, and then maybe holding on to it for a little bit and then jumping in and just mixing that up so they always are on their heels. Whenever you're throwing out skill shots and you're using your abilities, the less predictable you can be, the better, and you are going to land quite a few more of your skill shots. If you have any questions about this, you can hit me up in the comments down below. Alright, and jumping into tip number 2, I want to talk about your kit and how you can really look to be flexible. And that is one of my one of my favorite things to look for when I am picking champions, and their abilities to be used in both an offensive and a defensive manner. If you did not know, when you use your R, you go into an unstoppable, untargetable form, so you're able to dodge out on extremely large, high impact abilities that your enemy uses. So the more understanding you have about your lane opponent and their kit, and when they're looking to burst you, the better you are going to get with your Hex Tech Ultimatum. If it is something like a Zed looking to R into you, or a Fizz throwing out a big fish, or maybe something that's more top lane centric, maybe a really important Q that's going to give him his 5 stacks for his ultimate, is going to be a great time to look out to use your ultimate in both a defensive and then using it as an offensive way. How you want to look at this is you really want to start understanding the windows of power when you are fighting enemies, and how you can start understanding that a bit more is when they have their abilities down, this is when they are weak, and this is when you want to jump on them. If they have all of their abilities up and maybe you just used a few abilities, maybe you miss your W poke and just use your Q to CS, you are going to be in a weaker window of power, and you do not want to be moving in at that time. So you can be looking to use pretty much every single ability outside of your Q as a defensive and offensive ability, and both using your E as maybe to get away, or using your E to jump in and go into an offensive manner, as well as using your W to slow them down, to chase down, or to kite them away and try and run away with your W, and that is going to be a great manner to use it. So look at all of these abilities as both offensive and defensive tools. You can look to augment the windows of power in a way that you are going to put yourself in a beneficial situation and put your enemy in a really detrimental situation. And this will just give you a better understanding of how the lanes are going to play out and how your trades should look when you are looking to use an enemy. Maybe you're playing against a Darius and he is looking to load up his Q. You can either R, maybe you can save your E for that point and then re-engage him when he doesn't have his Q up, and it's going to be hard for him to stack up and he's going to have a lot less damage. So this is really how you want to really look to play it out in your head and how the trade is going to look and how you expect it to look before going in and doing that. And also a really big window of power that you have as your adaptive defense when that passive cooldown is up. And that will wrap up tip number 2. All right, and I want to go over tip number 3. I want to talk a little bit about runes because it can really be just a make or break point for Camille depending on what way you are looking to play it out. Now there's several different ways to approach it. I generally think that Grasp is the best for champions that you are going to be going toe to toe a lot against and do not have much threat on you. So Grasp is a great pick into tanks where you're going to be taking a lot of trades and you need a bit of sustain, and it will be quite a good way to scale into the game. If you're maybe going against a champion where you need a little bit more damage in your trades and you want a bit of healing, so maybe something like a bursty type of fighter with high impact cooldowns but not too much auto attack damage, that would be something like Garen that you would want to run Conquer into. And if you have Press the Attack, which I think is a third rune that is really underutilized on Camille, is something that you are looking to take extremely quick trades and you have small windows to do a lot of damage. And those are going to be champions like ranged champions like Quinn or Teemo. That is when you want to be looking to take Press the Attack, because you're not going to be able to proc too much grasps and you're not going to be able to stack up Conquer extremely fast in those matchups as they are constantly looking to kite you out. So again, Press the Attack against ranged tanks, you want to take something like Grasp, and more fighters, Conquer. Now that is just a basic guideline. You can look to fool around with those in different matchups and how you play it out, because everyone has a different play style. You might find a different rune be extremely effective against other champions, so look to use those runes accordingly. And again, guys, if you have any questions about these, you can hit me up in the comments down below. Alright, and for this next tip, I want to talk about how the W can be extremely impactful and how it can start setting up kind of the flow of combat when you are looking to fight people. And this is going to be extremely important against champions that might have a more higher consistent damage threshold than you. A lot of champions, a lot of matchups that are like that are going to be something like a Tryndamere that has really high base attack and a lot of modifiers to it, or something like a Jax that can beat you in a trade. So how you want to look to take out those trades would be maybe to get your Q going, maybe doing the first proc auto Q and then backing up with your W, and then using your slow of the W to re-engage with your stun and kind of working around their windows of power. If a counter strike goes up, you can look to do the E there. But the whole point is to use the tactical sweep in a way, and the extremely large slow that it provides is to space out windows that you might not be too strong in. So if there's something again like a Jax or a Tryndamere, you want to be looking to use your tactical sweep to slow them and wait for the second part of your positioning protocol, when you can look to trade where you're going to have a lot stronger of a point, where you're going to have that true damage and you're going to have the increased attack speed from your E. So always look to just try and put yourself, again, this is kind of going around windows of power again as the previous tip, but this is an extremely important way to make sure that you're not just using your W all willy-nilly, and you are using it to set yourself up in extremely great situations. And that will wrap up this tip. Alright, and jumping into the final tip, I want to go over something that is going to be extremely important for a lot of Camille players, and that is, I feel like most Camille players can play Camille to a decent clip inside of the laning phase, as she is a pretty strong duelist. But one thing that a lot of Camille's struggle with is the team fighting session. It's similar to things like Darius, and I see a lot of fighters they do struggle on how to approach team fights. Now with Camille, you are an extremely squishy fighter, and this is really important to start understanding on how you want to approach team fights, because you really don't want to get bursted out and do that. So how you want to look to approach team fights is you do not want to be looking front to back where maybe a Nautilus in the front line can look to peel you off of the back line extremely easy. How you'd want to look to approach it is by getting something like a control ward or a sweeper and be looking for a flank and where you can get on the back line and start doing a lot of damage to them. So always look for the flanks and come from unexpected pathing with your hook shot or with just running behind them, and then maybe when they use an ability to flash out, then you can look to E on them that way. So again, when you're looking to team fight, when you're squishy or maybe you're a little bit far behind, you're not too strong at the moment, you want to look for the best possible situation. You want to wait for the frontliners to engage. You want to wait for the team fight to start, so a lot of people don't just turn on you and then engage on the highest value target, as you are going to have a lot of damage, and for most of the game you are going to be rather squishy with your Hydra and your Trinity Force items before you start going into tanky items. That's going to wrap up my final tip, guys. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments down below, and make sure to join the Discord if you want to chat directly or be notified when my videos go live. As always, guys, take it easy.